Attitude is more powerful than facts. That statement may sound bold, even unreasonable, but it is the truth. Life is full of facts, hard, cold, undeniable realities. The fact may be that you were born into poverty. The fact may be that your body is weak or your resources are limited. The fact may be that doors have been closed in your face again and again. But facts, as real as they are, do not control your destiny. It is your attitude toward those facts that determines whether they will imprison you or push you forward. Think of it this way. Facts describe your situation, but your attitude defines your response, and your response is what shapes your future. Two people can face the exact same fact. One says, "This is the end of me." The other says, "This is just the beginning," and both will be right, not because of the fact, but because of the attitude. Every great achievement in history began with someone who refused to bow to facts. The fact was that man could not fly. Gravity was a fact, but the Wright brothers said, "We respect the fact, but we will not surrender to it." Their attitude challenged the impossible and changed the world. The fact was that electricity could not be harnessed. Thomas Edison said, "That may be what you believe, but I will keep trying until I find the way." He failed over 1,000 times, but his attitude saw every failure as proof that success was getting closer. Today, we live in the light of his attitude, not the darkness of the facts. You see, facts are temporary, attitude is eternal. Facts change with time. What is impossible today can become ordinary tomorrow. But the power to see beyond the fact and believe in what can be, that power rests in your attitude. That is why people with the right mindset rise from the lowest places, while others with all the advantages still fail. It is not what you face, it is how you face it. So never surrender to the facts. You may be told you are too old, too young, too uneducated, too inexperienced. That is just information. Don't let it become your conclusion. You have the right to decide, "This is not the final word over my life." When you choose to believe in possibility, you give birth to possibility. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not with circumstances, not with people, not with systems. It is with the voice of the facts. But the moment you choose to answer with the right attitude, you disarm every limitation. Attitude is more powerful than facts because facts tell you what is, but attitude reveals what can be. And if you hold the right attitude, there is nothing in this world that can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be. And if you change your attitude, you can change your life. Your attitude determines your altitude. You will never rise higher than the way you think about yourself and your situation. Life does not take you where you want to go. Life takes you where your attitude allows you to go. Some people are grounded not because they lack wings, but because their attitude keeps them tied to the ground. Others soar not because they have better opportunities, but because their perspective refuses to accept limits. Attitude is the internal compass that points your life in a direction. If your compass is set low on fear, doubt, and negativity, you will always circle the same mountains, never moving forward. But if your compass is set high on vision, faith, and courage, you will find doors opening, even in places that once looked impossible. The altitude of your life follows the altitude of your mind. Consider an eagle. An eagle does not waste time walking with chickens. It was built to fly. But if an eagle grows up in a chicken yard and accepts the attitude of a chicken, it will live its entire life scratching in the dirt, never knowing it was designed for the skies. That is what attitude does. It either lifts you to your design or locks you in a prison beneath it. Your gifts, talents, and opportunities can only take you as far as your mindset allows. A negative thinker can sabotage the best resources, while a positive thinker can multiply the little they have into abundance. One person says, "I can't," and proves it. Another says, "I can," and proves it. The difference is not in the opportunity, it is in the altitude of attitude. This is why some people rise out of poverty while others stay trapped in it. It is not only about money, it is about mentality. Some see poverty as a sentence, others see it as a challenge. And while one waits for rescue, the other builds wings. The higher your mind thinks, the higher your life climbs. Never forget, storms are a part of life. But even in a storm, altitude matters. Chickens run for cover, but eagles rise above the storm and use the wind to carry them higher. That is the secret of attitude. It turns opposition into elevation. What was meant to break you becomes the very wind that lifts you. So if you want to rise, stop blaming the storm, stop blaming the system, stop blaming the facts. Lift your attitude, and your life will follow. Choose to think higher, see further, and believe stronger, because the ceiling is not around you, the ceiling is inside you. And the moment you raise your attitude, you raise your altitude, Attitude creates your environment, not the other way around. Too many people believe that if their surroundings change, then they will change. They say, if I get a better job, I'll have a better outlook. If I live in a different place, I'll finally be happy. If people treated me right, I'd become positive, but that is a deception. Your environment does not shape your attitude. Your attitude shapes your environment. Two people can live in the same place, work in the same office, or grow up in the same home, and yet one sees possibility while the other sees despair. The difference is not in what is around them. The difference is in what is within them. When your heart is heavy, even the sunniest day feels dark. But when your attitude is right, even in a storm, you can see light. Attitude is like a pair of glasses. You don't see life as it is. You see life as you are. Put on the lens of bitterness, and everything looks unfair. Put on the lens of hope, and suddenly the same situation becomes an opportunity. The world outside is a reflection of the world inside. If you want a brighter world, you don't need to wait for the weather to change. You need to adjust the lens you are looking through. Think about it. A prison cell can become a place of despair, or it can become a place of vision. History is filled with leaders who wrote books, discovered truths, and found new strength while behind bars. They did not let the environment dictate their spirit. They let their spirit dictate the environment. That is why some people can live in comfort and still feel trapped, while others can live with almost nothing and still radiate joy. Your environment is simply the stage, but your attitude is the script. If you write defeat into your script, then your environment becomes a theater of failure. But if you write victory into your script, then the same environment becomes the training ground for greatness. What you expect, you attract. What you believe, you begin to create. So stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Stop blaming where you live, who raised you, or the circumstances you were handed. Those things do not control your destiny. Your attitude does. You can choose today to build a new environment with your words, your mindset, and your perspective. You can turn a workplace into a place of growth. You can turn a small house into a place of joy. You can turn a difficult season into a preparation ground. The power is not in the place, it is in you. And when you decide to take charge of your attitude, you will see your world transform before your eyes. Because attitude creates your environment, not the other way around. What you call impossible is waiting on your perspective. Every limit in life begins in the mind. The word impossible is not a fact, it is an opinion, a conclusion made by someone who decided to stop believing. What looks like a wall to one person looks like a doorway to another. The wall and the doorway are the same object. The difference is perspective. When you say something is impossible, you are not describing your reality. You are describing your attitude toward reality. Human history is filled with moments when impossibility was shattered simply because someone dared to look at the same problem differently. There was a time when people said it was impossible to sail across the ocean. They believed the earth was flat and ships would fall off the edge. Yet perspective changed, courage rose, and the impossible became discovery. There was a time when running a mile in under 4 minutes was considered physically impossible. But one man refused to accept that perspective. Roger Bannister broke the barrier, and within weeks others followed. The wall was never real. It was only in the mind. This is why perspective matters. What you call a crisis might actually be a classroom. What you call a failure might actually be fertilizer for your future. What you call the end might actually be the beginning. Impossible is not about what is in front of you. It is about how you choose to see it. Your perspective is the paintbrush of your destiny. If you paint in dark colors of doubt, you will live in shadows. But if you paint with bright strokes of vision and faith, you will create a canvas of possibilities. The impossible is always waiting for the right perspective to unlock it. You see, the problem is not the size of the challenge. It is the size of your vision. A mountain looks bigger when you stare at it with fear. But when you look at it with faith, the same mountain becomes a platform. The challenge didn't change, you did. And once you change your perspective, what was once called impossible becomes achievable. Never forget, impossible is a mindset, not a reality. The airplane, the light bulb, the computer, the phone in your hand, all were once impossible. Someone looked at them with a different perspective and turned them into everyday life. The same is true for your dreams, your goals, your future. What people laugh at today, they may depend on tomorrow. So don't surrender to impossibility. Shift your perspective. Decide to see beyond the barriers. Decide to believe that within every impossibility lies a hidden possibility. Because the greatest breakthroughs are always born from the boldness to look at the impossible differently. Guard your attitude. It protects your future. Your attitude is not a small thing. It is not just a mood, not just a feeling, not just a passing thought. Your attitude is the gatekeeper of your destiny. If you lose money, you can make it again. If you lose opportunities, you can rebuild them. If you lose possessions, you can replace them. But if you lose your attitude, you lose the very engine that drives your future. That is why guarding your attitude is more important than guarding your possessions. Every day, forces are working to attack your attitude. Circumstances come to discourage you. People speak words to break you down. Systems may try to limit you. Failures may whisper, you are not good enough. Disappointments try to bury your hope. All these things are designed to poison your perspective. And if they succeed in corrupting your attitude, they succeed in controlling your future. That is why the most dangerous attack you will ever face is not what happens to you, but what happens in you. Guarding your attitude is like guarding a treasure chest. Inside it lies your faith, your vision, your confidence, your courage. If you allow negativity, bitterness, or fear to sneak in, they will steal your treasure piece by piece until there is nothing left to build your tomorrow. But if you stand watch over your attitude, if you refuse to let in the thieves of doubt and despair, you preserve the wealth that will secure your future. Guarding your attitude means being intentional. You cannot be careless with what you listen to, who you spend time with, or what thoughts you entertain. Every conversation is either feeding your faith or draining it. Every thought is either building your vision or breaking it. Every environment is either lifting your spirit or lowering it. If you want to protect your future, you must protect your attitude at the gate of your mind. This is why some people rise out of the same broken environment that destroys others. They chose to guard their attitude, while others surrendered to bitterness. They chose hope, while others accepted defeat. They chose resilience, while others stopped dreaming. They kept their vision alive. They refused to allow their environment to dictate their inner world. And because their attitude stayed strong, their future stayed secure. Guarding your attitude also requires perspective in hard times. Life will test you. Storms will come. But the storm is not the enemy. The storm is a test. The real question is, will you allow the storm to shift your attitude? If you let the storm convince you that you are finished, then your future collapses. But if you hold your attitude steady, the same storm becomes the wind that lifts you higher. Never forget, your future is fragile. It rests in the soil of your thoughts and beliefs. If you allow weeds of negativity to grow unchecked, they will choke out your harvest. But if you guard the soil, feed it with hope, water it with faith, and protect it from the pests of doubt, you will see your future flourish. Your tomorrow is not secured by luck, but by the attitude you protect today. And here is the truth. Your attitude is contagious. If you lose it, you don't just damage your future, you damage the futures of those who look to you. Children, friends, employees, colleagues, they are all influenced by the climate of your spirit. If you protect your attitude, you inspire them to protect theirs. If you lose it, you lead them into defeat. That is why guarding your attitude is not just personal responsibility, it is leadership. So make the decision today. Stand watch at the door of your heart. Refuse to let negativity rule your thoughts. Refuse to let bitterness define your words. Refuse to let fear cancel your dreams. Protect your joy, protect your hope, protect your vision. Because when you guard your attitude, you protect your future. And if your future is secure, no circumstance, no opposition, no failure can stop you. Change your attitude and you change your life. It sounds simple, but it is the key that unlocks everything else. Your life is not shaped first by circumstances, not by systems, not by people. It is shaped by the way you choose to think and respond. The external world bends to the internal world. If you want to change what is happening around you, the first step is to change what is happening inside you. So many people spend their whole lives waiting for things outside to change. They say, when I get a new job, I'll be happier. When people treat me better, I'll be more positive. When opportunities show up. But that is the wrong order. Happiness doesn't come when conditions improve. Conditions improve when you choose happiness. Opportunity doesn't appear and then you get faith. Faith attracts opportunity. Life doesn't change first. Your attitude changes first, and then life follows. Every great transformation begins with a shift in attitude. The addict who turns his life around doesn't begin with resources or wealth. He begins with a decision in his heart that says, I am not going to live like this anymore. The person who rises out of poverty doesn't start with abundance. She starts with a perspective that says, I can create more with what I have. That inner shift is what bends the course of life. Until your attitude changes, nothing else can. This is why two people can stand in the same storm and walk out with different futures. One walks out broken, the other walks out stronger. The storm was the same. The difference was attitude. One decided to focus on the destruction, the other decided to focus on the lesson, and the lesson became the seed for a better tomorrow. When you change your attitude, your vision clears. Suddenly you stop seeing obstacles and start seeing opportunities. You stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? That single adjustment is enough to redirect the trajectory of your life, because life does not respond to despair. Life responds to determination. The doors that were locked yesterday begin to open, not because they changed, but because you changed the way you approach them. Attitude also transforms relationships. A bitter attitude destroys trust, but a grateful attitude builds it. A fearful attitude creates distance, but a confident attitude attracts connection. When you change your attitude, you don't just change yourself, you change the way people see you, respond to you, and invest in you. Life is lived with people, and people respond more to your attitude than your words. Even success itself is sustained by attitude. Talent can open doors, but only the right attitude keeps them open. Knowledge can earn respect, but only the right attitude keeps respect alive. Wealth can buy opportunities, but only the right attitude preserves them. Without the right mindset, success becomes temporary. With the right mindset, success becomes a lifestyle. The beautiful thing is this: attitude is a choice. You may not control the weather, the economy, or the behavior of others, but you always control your attitude. That one freedom can never be taken from you, and that freedom is enough to transform everything else. Choose to see possibility where others see despair. Choose to believe when others doubt. Choose to keep going when others quit. Each choice you make reshapes the story of your life. So don't wait for your life to change your attitude. Change your attitude first and watch your life follow. Decide to think higher, speak stronger, and believe deeper. That single shift can take you from defeat to victory, from despair to hope, from survival to success. So as we bring this message to a close, remember this truth: your attitude is the key that unlocks your destiny. It is stronger than facts, greater than challenges, and more powerful than circumstances. Guard it, shape it, and use it to lift your life to heights you never thought possible. The world may try to limit you, but your attitude will always decide whether you rise or fall. Choose to see possibility, choose to protect your spirit, and choose to live with the conviction that your best days are still ahead of you. Good luck as you walk into your future with a renewed attitude, and thank you for listening.